Exploitation Section. Exhibitors Trade Review, August 12th and 19th, 1922. The spirit and essence of the political campaign expressed with some bunting, a cutout, and a banner. John B. Carroll, manager of the Imperial, Asheville, North Carolina, has produced many fine lobby effects, but it is doubtful if he or any of his colleagues in showmanship have ever designed anything that exceeded in attraction value this lobby for Tom Megan's Paramount vehicle, Our Leading Citizen. It is one of those happy ideas which enabled an exhibitor to spend a little money and a little labor to get a big smashing effect that on the face of it must have fairly dragged him in past the box office. The paper gotten out by film producers supplies the means wherewith an exhibitor may reproduce a lifelike and attractive scene from the picture for display purposes. The illustration shows the effective use of the cutout display by the Liberty Theater, Portland, Oregon, in connection with First National's Trouble. Here is a tenement interior gotten up by the Hippodrome, Fort Worth, Texas, for the Goldwyn play A Poor Relation. This lobby arrangement had the desired effect in attracting notice to Selznick's Why Announce Your Marriage when it played at the Rialto Theater, Augusta, Georgia. The large envelope and the letterbox were painted cardboard. This feature was the central attraction, the balance of the display being made up of display frames. Wholesale billboarding was an important feature of the campaign for Universal's Foolish Wives when it played the Adams Theater, Detroit, as illustrated by this complete blanketing of a 4-story building in the downtown district. A delivery auto, bannered glaringly for Paramount's The Good Provider, was the means used to get the picture theater before the public when a circus parade was staged in Provo, Utah. The car brought up the rear of the parade, and succeeded in attracting attention to the film that was in competition with the circus. Lobby display and house front arranged by management of the Fort Armstrong Theater, Rock Island, Illinois, when D.W. Griffith's Orphans of the Storm, a United Artists release, was played. A specially painted 24-sheet hung up over the entrance of Gordon's Olympia, Boston, as a front display in connection with the showing of Pathé's Nanook of the North. A crowd of youngsters large enough to make a good-sized parade turned out for the special matinee of Paramount's The Bachelor Daddy at the Liberty, Youngstown, Ohio. Manager C.W. Dable's announcement of a performance for the children of a fresh air camp was taken up by the newspapers, which made a plea for automobiles to transport the children, and a big parade was the outcome. H.C. Griffin borrowed 6 desks from the public schools of St. Petersburg and put them in the lobby of the Fayal Theater. He made 2 blackboards by painting beaverboard a flat black, and he provided chalk with which several children were allowed to write their opinions of the picture. So many boys and girls hung around to be able to sit in the seats that Manager Griffin had to make up a waiting list. Manager George Shade of Shade's Theater, Sandusky, Ohio, took advantage of an Elks convention to deck out the front of his theater in holiday fashion. The decoration of flags and bunting combined with Welcome Elks banners won the theater a favorable place in the minds of the visiting Elks. Lobby display designed by manager Noble Hearn of the Superba Theater, Los Angeles. Mr. Hearn gives careful attention to detail in contriving his decorations, and through the use of stock articles, such as the display board over the entrance and the frames at either corner, succeeds in maintaining the individuality of the theater. The contrast between the display and the 2 Universal attractions, Out of the Silent North and Once to Every Woman, was accomplished more by the detail than the scheme of decoration. In both cases, the box office, the lobby ceiling, and cutouts served as the main features. For Once to Every Woman, the ticket booth was hung with Chinese embroideries, the ceiling latticed and entwined with lotus flowers. Lanterns and cretonne used in the display frames completed the picture. The display for Out of the Silent North was made up with painted board to give the log cabin effect to the ticket booth and stairway entrance, and boughs hung from the ceiling. The Rialto, Waterloo, Iowa, displayed a cutout from the 24 sheet designed by Associated Exhibitors for its presentation of the Devil. A go and see the Devil in electrics and plenty of illumination gave the theater a long-distance attraction value at night. Display arranged by Alexander Frank. Entertaining youngsters at a special advance showing proved a profitable inauguration of a week's run of First National's Trouble at the Circle Theater, Indianapolis. The children were assembled and marched to the theater carrying signs that told the world they were on their way to have a good time. The invitation performance was given in conjunction with the Indianapolis Star. Interest in the stunt was heightened through a tie-up with a local ice cream company, which gave out cones to the children on entering the theater, and advertised it with signs pasted on its trucks. The attendance was in the neighborhood of 2,000 at the advance showing, and 2,000 kids can produce a lot of verbal advertising. It is only of comparatively recent times that the State Theater, Pittsburgh, has used lobby displays. Non-believers for some time, the management finally tried a display, and the results obtained are receiving testimony in the finely designed displays now in practice. An especially good example of the arrangements made by manager Charles S. Smith of the State is this scene reproduction on the walls of the lobby for Pathé's Nanook of the North. This is the way the front of the Majeska Theater, Augusta, looked when The Sheik's Wife was playing. Through the tent door can be seen a miniature desert scene. It was made on a box 6 feet square and 2.5 feet high. Sand was heaped into hills and valleys, and a tiny doll was dressed like an Arab. The tenting, which almost covered the front of the lobby, was red and white. Exploitation and ballyhoo in the oil fields. This triangular-shaped wagon was sent out to bring them in to see First National's Smilin' Through when it played the lyric, Burke Burnett, Texas. Manager H. Holman also had a lobby display featuring color panels of Norma Talmadge as business getters for his show. Hillsboro, Ohio knew George Ria was playing First National's My Boy simply because every way they turned was a sign, a window, or something that told the tale. A campaign such as he used will bring the stay-at-homes out nearly every time. Try it and see. A cutout that bordered the entire marquee for Nanook of the North was designed as an outside display. Thermometers were the main feature of this painting, the entire force of the attraction being directed at the hot weather angle. Tie-ups with the street cleaning department and the police department are formidable enterprises which go to the credit of manager Loveridge, and enabled him to acquaint Davenport, Iowa with his showing of First National's The Crossroads of New York. The insert shows the mailing piece used in the campaign. The arrangement for Metro's The Four Horsemen was valuable to the merchant and attractive to the public because of striking effect. Screen stars and clothes, a natural tie-up illustrated by this window for Paramount's Beyond the Rocks. Where an idea, a bit of imagination, supplied the means. Your handkerchiefs are here is the line that got the Rex Theater, Oshkosh, a big flash for United Artists' Orphans of the Storm. A tie-up of mutual interest. Cutouts of Jackie Coogan, autographed baseballs, and the display for First National's Trouble was complete. Through the song of that title, Smilin' Through has had window displays in music stores to the number of 1,000 and more. Paramount's The Beauty Shop displayed in the window of a shop that dispenses charm at a fair profit per bottle, box, or jar. The new flapper dolls were an important feature of this arrangement by the 103rd Street Theater, New York City. The old-timers had gathered at the Tacoma Speedway for the 11th Annual Motor Classic and were looking for the Duesenberg Specials, Frontenacs, and Peugeots. Instead of this glittering array of powerful machines, out into the track sputtered old 999, built by Henry Ford ages ago for Barney Oldfield, and at the wheel sat Barney. The fourth entry was a dent, which caused the puzzled brows to wrinkle further. "We ain't never heard tell of that one," was the consensus. If they had visited the Rialto Theater that evening, they would have identified it with the car driven by Wallace Reed in Across the Continent. Programs were distributed among the 20,000 in the grandstand, announcing the Across the Continent race with Wallace Reed. This freak race was the exploitation of the Rialto Theater, one of the Jensen and von Herberg string.